Go.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. So we'll call to order the Port and Commerce Advisory Board meeting of March 18th, 2026. And Board Member Regis, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Next item on the agenda is roll call.
Roll call for today's meeting. Draper?
Here.
Jaffa is absent and excused. Groom?
Here.
Alderman? Here. Scudder? Here. Regis?
Here.
And Vice Chair Atwood.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, we have citizens' comments on any subject, limited to 3 minutes. Do we have anyone signed in to speak?
We do not have anyone to sign in.
Do we have any members of the public who are interested in speaking now? Okay. Very good. Seeing none, we will move on to the next item, which is the approval of the agenda, which also includes the consent agenda, and I would entertain a motion, or we can discuss the agenda and consent agenda.
I motion to approve the agenda and consent agenda.
Second.
Very good. We have a motion and a second. Look good to everybody? Do we have any suggested edits, changes, nothing? Okay, very good. I think we can go ahead and take a vote to approve.
Voting on the approval of the agenda and consent agenda for today's meeting is the approval of the February 18, 2026 Port and Commerce Advisory Board meeting minutes. And that is all on there. Regis?
Yes.
Scudder? Yes. Groom?
Yes.
Draper?
Yes.
Alderman?
Yes.
And Vice Chair Atwood.
Yes.
The agenda and consent agenda have been approved.
Thank you. So let's see, we'll move down to the next item on the agenda, special orders, presentations, and reports. Let's see, we don't have any proclamations. It looks like we're down to the city administration report.
Thank you, Chair Atwood. Nothing new to add other than the Frederick Mann, the cutter that will be stationed here in Seward. I flew over, it's been a whirlwind, in February for that commissioning ceremony. They traveled through Seward on the 6th through the 9th, so look for them coming through at regular intervals now. It was kind of exciting to see them in port, walking around town, and throughout the communities, just enjoying the area.
Any questions? Any questions from board members? None? None? Okay. Thank you, Tony. And so going on here, we have other reports and announcements. The Alaska Railroad report. I don't think I need to surrender the gavel. I can perhaps just give a statement while I'm here at this part of the meeting. So the report is in your packet. It's relatively brief. A couple of things that I wanted to mention. One is we've had some internal discussions about the pedestrian tunnel that we're working on. And for those of you who aren't aware, the former coal facility tunnel, conveyor tunnel that runs under Port Avenue, we're looking to, the Alaska Railroad's looking to modify that for passenger movements, just general public, walking underneath Port Avenue to get to the north side of Port Avenue and then walk on the sidewalk. We will still, of course, have a crosswalk on top of the road out out in front of the terminal building. But so far, we're going to get some engineering design on how to modify that tunnel and actually use it as a pedestrian path. So that's good news for our planned summer operations. I don't have a timeline for that, but that's just something that came up recently. And then some of you may have noticed Metco side dumps taking gravel onto the terminal reserve, and I think we were taking about 2,000 cubic yards from the waterfall as part of our continued efforts to fill, and so that happened over the past couple of days. Currently, we have a general cargo ship. Kodiak Island is in port, and the discharge of industrial salts is, concluded, but the ship is staying until the winds settle down. So anyway, the port is seeing a little bit less activity than we might because of this weather. And today we'll have a northbound cargo train that will take, I believe, some 1,500 sacks of the industrial salts that have been loaded to open-top cars, gondola cars. That train will depart by 2 o'clock today at the latest, I believe. And yeah, I think that's just some things I wanted to mention on top of the regular report. And that's what I have. If anybody has some questions, I guess I can take those now.
I guess I got a question. What would entail to change that underground tunnel to being pedestrian friendly?
Yeah, right. So there's a couple of things that we have to look at. One is the approach grade coming from the south, and then on the other side, the north, and then making a turn upwards to the sidewalk and trying to have a shallow enough grade that, I don't know that it necessarily needs to be ADA compliant, because we will have, another crossing on the road, which is quite flat. But yeah, there's going to be some grading work. I think we're going to have to do some analysis to see what the drainage is going to be like. We don't want that thing to fill up with water. And I would like to see asphalt, an asphalt path. We have engineers working on it, some of those things. I assume the tunnel itself would probably have lighting installed, so there are some things to work on. But we have, I believe it's going to be, P&D is going to be taking a look at it here pretty soon, and they'll probably give us some of their ideas. But those are a couple of things I think we'll have to work on.
Dwayne?
Yes.
Just the location, is it near where the crosswalk is right now?
Yes, it actually is. So the crosswalk on the surface of the road, it's just a little bit west, and of course, under the road. So yeah, it's kind of aligned in that area. Yeah.
So is the intention to try to limit the number of people that are crossing that crosswalk because of traffic? Is that the reason that you're kind of looking at that?
Yes, exactly, because we anticipate this summer we'll have substantial traffic. We do have one Quantum class vessel in our schedule on Fridays, and for those of you who are wondering what Quantum means, that's a ship that has 4,500 passenger capacity. So, we'll have more vehicles and just more people as a result of having a larger ship on our schedule. And so if we can move people who choose to walk or do walk under the road instead of walking across the surface of Port Avenue, we think that would be safer. So that's the plan.
But they still have to cross back over if they're going to the harbor, right? Because they're going to go.
Yeah, so that's another question too. I mean, we have a crosswalk down by the depot, that gets people over, more toward the 360 and then moving into the Harbor Commercial District. And I don't know if we'll be making improvements there. I think we'll probably be having some conversations with the city further. We've talked before about making sidewalk improvements, and wayfinding signage and other features that might help in terms of flow and safety. So we'll see going forward what we can do at that crossing. Anything else? No other questions? Okay, good. So then we'll move on. I don't know if we have the chamber, do we? Good. The Sewer Chamber of Commerce report.
Hi, Ms. Sweeting, outside city limits, Sewer Chamber of Commerce. I apologize there isn't an included report. That was my fault this time. I did not mail or email it in time. But we have a lot of things going on, and I'm excited to report on. We have the community awards. The nominations close on Sunday. But the event is on April 2nd, and we added a new category this year. We partnered with C and SPC to do a Teacher of the Year award, so we're pretty excited about that. Mount Marathon registration is open, and so is the logo contest, and both those close March 31st. Some new things we're going to do this year for Mount Marathon is we're adding a race from the base from ages 7 to 10. Basically what happened is that Mini Mount Marathon ages out at 6, and then you used to just be able to do the juniors race, but for liability reasons, 7 to 9-year-olds weren't able to do, or 7 to 8-year-olds aren't able to do the juniors race, so they just got out of the race circuit. And so we want to keep those kids involved and keep their passion for running up. So we've added race from the base. So they'll race from the base of the mountain to the finish line and still get that finish line moment. And then also, if for any 10-year-olds who aren't quite ready, don't feel ready for the full-on juniors race, they can still now do race from the base. So that's pretty cool. And then we're adding a teams category. I guess we used to do this a long time ago, pre-COVID, where if like your whole family's running, or a group of friends across ages and genders, they can have a cumulative team score, and there'll be an award for that. So it's just like a way to get competitive with your friends and family, and a way to kind of bring people together. And it's usually mostly a community thing, so it's kind of fun. We did get rid of a skip a year. I do want to say that. No other marathon does it. It's basically every runner during their lifetime got one automatic skip a year. Like if they have a wedding or an injury or a vacation or something. So we got rid of that to open up usually about 30 to 50 bibs were kind of held in reserve each year because of the skip a year rule. So hopefully this will better the odds and invite new racers into the race. We still have the petition court, of course, so if you do get injured, you can still petition the marathon to hold your bib for next year. And of course we've kept pregnancy and recent childbirth as well, so that is still safe. And then obviously it helps a lot on the admin side for that. We are attending the Mat 2 Outdoorsman Show. We used to back in the day, and we're going to go again. So this is a big reason is to promote the Derby, of course. It's like a really nice target audience for that, as well as promoting Seward as a place to live, work, and play. It's going to help us reconcentrate on in-state visitation, which is like a valuable visitor for us, especially for year-round economy. And then we're also going to attend the Kenai Peninsula Job Fair. So on both of those, soon we'll put out a social media request and email being if you guys have any openings at your places of business, we'll collect those and we can help promote that at these events as well. Side note, the Kenai Peninsula Job Fair, it's April 15th. They are still looking for booths, and it's a free event, so you don't have to pay any registration fees or anything. So if you have some openings at your jobs, it'd be great to get more Seward booths down there and have some more representation. Destination guide is done and is printing as we speak. We went with 50,000 copies, which is 10,000 copies more than we printed last year. We ran out about late July, unfortunately, which makes sense because our vegetation numbers were up. So we're stoked about that, and it's going to look a little different this year. We brought it in-house to help subsidize those costs, just because I am a layout designer by training, and so I have the skill set to do it. So we brought it in. It was quite the endeavor. I can see why they paid someone else to do it in the day. So it's nice though because we got to have a little bit more control over it. So we've added shop. It used to be eat, play, stay, and that was it. And so we added a shop section, which made sense to us, and then we added like a section called Visit Like a Local, which is to promote off-season, we don't like to call it off-season, but off-season year-round visitation. And we put like, the chamber started a Destination Stewardship Committee, which is this idea of sustainable tourism and making sure that we have tourism as a tool for our community, not to take over our community. And so we put together quite a lovely passage on the back to invite visitors to Seward, but to also remind them that this is our home and you're visiting a home in a community. So yeah, so we're excited for you guys to see that. It's quite lovely. Toward the cruise ship terminal, the chamber has a guaranteed booth site at the train terminal from the debark side of it. I think so far we're the only ones with a guaranteed booth spot, which is great. So it's cool that we are still working together, and we're pretty excited about it, and we're trying to come up with a new table kit to better represent this new message of live, work, and play, and then also kind of framing it as like welcome to our home, to our community. And just so I know, the school's consolidation meeting is tomorrow at 6 at the high school. If anyone's interested in that topic, that is happening. So, okay, that's it. That's all I got.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions?
So
from
is
the
that
board?
meeting at the high school?
It is, yeah.
What time?
6 o'clock
What day is that on?
tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have a couple questions, Amanda. Is the chamber involved, my understanding is KPED's going to have their economic forum here in Seward next month?
Next month,
Is
yes.
the chamber involved with that, or is there any information going out about that, like how businesses can register to be a part of that, or?
No, but that's a good idea. We can include that in our next newsletter. I personally will not be attending. I will be on vacation, but a chamber representative will be there.
Okay.
But
Where's that going to be at?
it is going to be at the Gateway.
At the Gateway?
Yeah, so their numbers are quite limited.
Okay. And so how do you register for that? You just go to the KPED?
You just go to KPED, but it's a good idea. I'll include that registration, like how to register, in the next newsletter.
Okay, and then my second question for you is, you talked about the destination or the stewardship committee.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just expand a little bit at where is the chamber at with putting that committee together, and how does somebody become a member of that committee?
Oh yeah, we're on meeting 5, so it's newer, but it's going. Our first couple of meetings was just like, doing our mission, getting members. We have about 12 people on it right now, and we're pretty set on 12. I think so much bigger, I think it would be too big. But we'll see like who stays and who goes throughout the year. Yeah, so we're on meeting 5. We did a little bit about the destination guide and how we can reframe some passages with more of the idea of community first. And then I think today, we're actually meeting today, and we're going to workshop some wayfinding signage around town, which I would bring to PACAP, of course, once we have some drawings, to help with traffic flow so it's not as cumbersome for locals, and then also to help people who are at the boat harbor to understand that we still have a downtown, to help with some flow and maybe get people in that coastal trail, especially for connecting it to the Uplands. That'll be exciting.
So I don't want to take up too much more time, but that's one that I really when I was on the chamber board, kind of had a hard time wrapping my head around.
Sure.
What would the actual end goal of that committee be? Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah,
What's the plan?
I wish, totally. I wish I had the mission statement in front of me, but yeah, I think since these are such early meetings, we are trying to figure out what strong direction we're going to take. There has been talk about starting a nonprofit branch under the Destination Stewardship that could help pay for, so we can go for grant funding that could do more data-specific research. We could do courses and classes for local business owners. Do research on how tourism impacts local communities, that kind of stuff, and that hopefully will drive more action points for the committee. Basically, the committee was just started in response to this idea that historically the chamber has been perceived to just care about tourism, which we have the destination marketing service contract with the city, so the city contracts us to market to tourism and destination marketing. But, you know, we did a really good job. The tourists are coming. And so now how can we refine and kind of pivot that approach to be more, you know, looking at what valuable tourist is and how can we push year-round economy and how can we get families to move here and this idea of, you know, now that they're coming, we just want to make sure we want to protect our community. And so that's kind of how, like, this committee came to be, and hopefully it could, we're hoping it could, like, guide our marketing and our branding and kind of, like, the, yeah, like, the kind of the mixture of, like, this idea that the chamber has this DMO contract, and, you know, the chamber is community first, and so, like, how to kind of, like, interwoven those missions together, not per se like the contracted tasks, but so yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Any other questions?
Just a tag on that, the meeting for the KPAD. I think they're opening registration on the 20th on the website, and that's where you would go to sign up. It was in the city manager's report.
Oh, nice.
So, and it doesn't seem like there will be very many spots.
There isn't, yeah.
Thank you.
Which, you know, maybe convention center one day. Okay, cool. Is that?
Yeah, thank you for that. So, one thing, I think it's great that you have in your skill set page design and layout. That's pretty cool that
Yeah.
you're putting that talent to use with these guides. You have a lot of good images to work with, and I'm sure it was fun.
Yeah.
So, and anyway, one thing I'm sort of curious about, you'd mentioned the number of additional racers that you're trying to get into the Mountain Marathon race annually, and remind me again, what are the numbers capped at? How many runners do we have? And
I would have to, I want to say it's quite a lot. I'm trying to think of what the number is.
It's just by way of I'm just trying to get a handle on, are you getting a lot of demand from potential runners that can't get into the race?
For sure, yeah. I mean, it's a common, I think, comment around town that you'll hear is that it's getting harder and harder to get in the race because it's becoming more and more popular.
Yeah.
And so how do we make sure that we are introducing new runners into the race and make sure that those odds stay as good as we can make them without adding more racers to the actual race, because then it becomes a safety issue and an ecological damage issue on the mountain, of course.
I get it. Yeah, trying to facilitate turnover without actually increasing the number of,
So this is one of the, and it's just like no other race really does the whole skip a year thing. So it just kind of seemed a little, we'll still honor it this year, of course. But it just seemed like kind of like an easy way to open up more bid possibilities. Especially since it's a heavy administration task to do these skip years, and then no other race does them.
All right. Well, that's all I have, and thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay, back to the agenda. It looks like we're on to presentations. We do have a note here about a potential commercial fishing presentation by Eddie Wilbur of Copper River Seafoods. Do we have that person here today? Doesn't look like we do. And then Mark Clemens with the Fish House was perhaps going to just talk to us a little bit about some sport fishing trends, issues,
etc.
Thank you.
So, Mark Clemens, outside city limits. Thanks for Bruce for asking me to come. Not a presentation, a discussion, if you would. He said a brief history of some harbor business, what we've seen in the past, what I can kind of see as an outlook where our fisheries are going. Most of you know the history of the store already. 1973, the folks bought it, the A-frame from Keith and Dorothy Knighton. And then it was just a small little 800 square foot spot, right? Unique spot, and they added on a shop and a mechanic shop out back and inventory storage, and then we did snow machines, 4 rivers, outboard, that kind of stuff, and service the commercial fishing market mainly. So that was kind of the start, was that part, is what was the driver, because in the 70s, commercial fishing was a huge economic driver for the town. Most of us that lived here worked at the fisheries. I skipped school to go squeeze herring out in the bay on barges. I mean, that was just what was going on, because the mill closed, LP mill closed in 79, 78. So that was, and then, Carl and I purchased the store in 1990, and then we started making some changes. 98, we added on the hardware side. 2005, we added on the fish house side. Like I was telling Tony earlier, I still get grumped at for getting rid of the A-frame, but the efficiencies of it were just not there. And so as we've tried, in any business in Seward, you gotta try anything in any town, right? Seward's a tough place to do business. Summertime is not, wintertime it is. So you've gotta find your niche areas. I mean, we've had moped rentals, helicopter tours, all this was before cruise ships. And they didn't work because the traffic wasn't there. I mean, just different things. The RV park we had, the boat storage, we were the commissary or the campground house, if you would, for the Seward campgrounds for 10 years. Commissary for the state prison across the bay. Just all kinds of little things to try to make it work, to stay open and make a living. From 73, when they bought it, fishing charters were going on in Seward, okay? So we were a booking agent for charters in Seward. One of the main reasons that we were a booking agent in Seward is we advertised for it, and everything back then was print advertising, right? So it was $100,000 is about what we spent on our advertising budget, because individual operators could not buy a big ad, could not place. So we had 50 boats on our booking list. Some of you were there. Okay, fun times, right?
I remember.
And once the internet all came around and website development happened, there was no need for our print advertising like that, and the guys all created their own pages, right? Just the nature of technology. So that's when we started buying charter boats. Because it's like, we've already got the game out there, we've already got the established, so let's get some of our own boats and work into that part of the business more. And it's been great for us, it's been great for the town. I found an old article, I don't know if everybody knows Kathy Davis, I'm sure you guys do, Seward Elementary. Well, her dad, Mark Walker, had breezing along charters in the late 60s, okay? Here's a rate, $12.50 per day with a minimum of 200. That was what they charged back then in the day. Well, now we're at 400, 450, right? I mean, it's a pretty good economic driver for the town. The Seward charter fleet's about 85 to 100 boats, right in there. And daily capacity around 500. Okay, pretty good capacity. And if you take the daily during mid-June through mid-August, it's about $225,000 a day of what that revenue is taken in by charter boats. Multiply it out, it used to be we'd get 100 days, now we're down to about 85. And so that comes to roughly about 22 to 25 million taken in by charter boats. Okay? Which is sales tax of about $1.5 million right in there, and the port fee. Okay? So pretty good driver for the town. Roughly there's probably 150 people employed in it, just on the boats themselves, not counting spin-offs of going to the hotels, lodges, fuel, food, tackle, etc. So the halibut regulations, in 2012, everybody probably knows this, it went to a CHP, Charter Halibut Permit. So you had to be fishing for 3 years before that to be granted that permit. Reason they did that is to, monitor the supply, keep the supply down of boats available so that they could monitor and regulate the fishery. Okay? So it's worked good. Wasn't all for that, I don't like to see a lot of regulations, but it was time for them to do something like that. And so it's split up, excuse me, the GHL is split up between the commercial longliners and the charter fleet. And so we get 1.6 or 1.43 million goes to Area 3A, which 3A is from Yakutat to southwest Kodiak. Pretty big area. And then the halibut charter guy, or commercial guys, I think they're at 6 million this year, think, something like that, isn't that the tape-off? And so with that, that allows them to regulate us as a charter fleet. And how they're doing that for our area is that we're having days taken away, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, this year from June 2nd to mid-August. And then also a size reduction. So we've got one under 27 inch and one over 27 inch. So when you think about the days reduced in the fishery, at 7 days in a week, every day you lose is 14% lost opportunity to fill your boat. Okay? Quite a bit. So we tend to focus on salmon, sightseeing now, rockfish, which are getting more regulated, to offset those days. So then then this year there's a halibut stamp that's introduced, $20 halibut stamp for under 18 years old. That money, approved by the Congress and everything 8-10 years ago, goes into a pot to buy, I believe, non-active commercial quota. Could be wrong. And there's some strict percentages in there to follow. So that's to get some more fish back into the catch limit for the charter area, to take it from the commercial sector, which is, I was a commercial fisherman for 20 years. So I try to see both sides of this issue because they're a valuable client to me at the store and they're valuable to your town, both sectors. So we'll see how that plays out. This is the first year of that. Roughly it generates for 3A about $2.5 million a year in the stamp, which is a pretty good pot of money to see if they can buy something for some non-performing permits, hopefully in the commercial sector. Silver salmon, three-year life cycle, right? So Cook Inlet Aquaculture, the state of Alaska Fish and Game, are in charge of our hatchery fish here. And it's been a pretty good relationship as far as for the hatchery fish. We will be facing a lower run return in 27. 24 was a horrible year statewide for coho. So their egg take wasn't up to par in the fry. So roughly there's 200,000 silver fry dumped at the lagoon, 500,000 Bear Lake area in the Weir. And for 24, they were down to, I think it was 300,000. So almost half. And so you figure out, some of them are going to be released as fry and they're going to keep some for smolt, and you get a different return ratio on both. So your fry, you're looking at 1 to 2%, the smolt, you're looking hopefully 4 to 6. Okay, so different numbers, but they're expensive to rear. So that's Fish and Game. I mean, I'm on the board of fish here, the Seward AC, and so they're working well trying to manipulate that a little bit, but you can't take and bring in fish from another stream because of genetics. So you have to try to offset with some smolt input on those cycle years that are low from a previous one because it's the same genetics. But then you get a better return and a faster life cycle on it when they're small. Average silver harvest in Seward's 23 to 100,000. Pretty good. I like to think that the best bang for our buck is if we can get the beach fisheries. Yes, I got charter boats, but there's nothing better to see Alaskans come down and park here for 3 days. Okay? You see that in the spring when they're fishing the reds. It's become a huge thing. I mean, it's big enough where Riptide, Phil Zimmerman over there, did a lot of building on his place. Got cabins, got access. Mike in Selco, is that the same next door to Phil's?
In Seleco.
In Seleco. Also got a nice facility there. So it's a pretty big driver. I mean, cooking at aquaculture, not the most healthy in their financials. I don't know if anybody knows any of that, but they're behind about $3 million a year, rough numbers. So I don't know how long the state will continue on some of that. Hatchery runs are needed, but there's things that we could do in city limits to enhance our natural runs. The more we build, the more small streams are taken. You see the eagles and stuff by Napa, by the train depot, they're there for one reason, right? Because they're salmon in those streams. If we could figure out a way to put some deeper ponds along there for rearing and protection on our fry, also out by the dump roads, although, I mean, I know Jack Creek fills up all the time, but those streams are still open going back through there. Clear Creek out the road, we're trying to see if we can get something happening with Grouse Lake again. to see if we can get some fish coming back to that. A few different things we're trying to look at to see if we can work with Fish and Game and maybe the city to figure out the permitting through our area biologist and then make some of that happen, to offset low runs, okay, give us more opportunity. Red salmon, as we said, I mean, it's been great for the local economy, good for me, good for businesses, people are coming down. I mean, they call all the time, when anything there, there's a Facebook page, I think, right now, Red Salmon Seward, for people that want to come down and combat out. Commercial fishing, I went through a little bit. I mean, I can't, stress how important Seward fish is. All the canneries in town, we got Copper River now coming into town, right? We're set up there by the boat lift. Okay, I know it's a headache for you, Tony, but it's well needed. It's well needed in town to have that access, and to see those guys being productive. I mean, if we can get some Seward fish to back online what they were in the 70s, up to 2015, I think Seward was the #1 landing port for halibut blackcod. And then it changed hands a few times, right? Icicle has, and so it's dropped down on what they do. New manager in place, hopefully things will change a bit more for them, and they're going to be buying blackcod and halibut this year, so that's a good change from last year when that didn't happen. I wasn't going to go into commercial a lot because the other guy was, but I mean, it's very important for our town. So sport fishing in Seward, always been a big draw for Alaskans, big draw for, visitors. Ways to increase it would be, the salmon we can do some help with, the halibut we can't. Big conflicts with the draggers going on right now, and Sullivan's got some stuff coming through that potentially will tighten us regulations up on that and then protect some stock. In the fall, December 26th coming up, we've got the Alaska Board of Fish meeting in Seward again. So we had that 6 years ago. We had to fight like a bugger to get that in Seward. They didn't want to come. But it's a big meeting for town because you've got 50 to 100 dignitaries coming to town. Maybe we could talk about available space at the railroad if needed for some meetings and stuff. AvTech was very generous last year. The Marine Science Institute auditorium is where we were too. But in December, we bring 50 to 100 hotels, restaurants, etc. That's a pretty good deal. So we're going to be putting some regulations in place, not regulations, but proposals, if you would, to the Board of Fish since they're here, because we can bend their ears a little bit more at that time. Harbor Uplands project, basic scenario on that. I mean, that was in the plan. I got two harbor masters looking at me. That was in the plan 20-something years ago, 25. And same location, a lot of the same stuff. It's needed. We need a new harbor master building. None of that is in dispute with me at all. I mean, the boardwalk, the wood boardwalk, I don't like, just for maintenance. My issue is maintenance on that one. Something that, if we put in asphalt, you don't have to maintain it, right? And it's the same, matches up with your bike path. Still put benches out there, still put access. But, and then the parking on the Uplands, I just saw the new proposal where they increased the parking on the Uplands. That matches it better. I hate to see, I'm pro-business, okay? The worst thing that happened to me in Seward was when Spinard and Ace Hardware went out of business. Because I get everybody, why can't you carry this? Okay? Competition is good. But where do we see the harbor from? Between the KFT and Ray's, I remember when that went to council, okay? And that was one of the things, is that had to stay open so people could see the harbor. Where are we gonna see the harbor from? Up on your terrain, we can come visit. I mean, it's a good view, but I mean, the rest of it's gonna be a pretty small area to view the harbor at all. And that's one of the drawbacks I see of the lease land. Yes, it's $100K roughly on lease fees, but we're going to see the damn boats. People just want to go, look at all these boats. I mean, I drive by, eat lunch both sides, and look at boats, etc. I can see my boats from there and see if I got an issue or whatever. But I know a lot of people like that. Can you make businesses year-round there? You can't really stipulate that. You can't give them concessions on that, because the rest of us have been in business for years with no concessions. I mean, there's, how many businesses in Seward are closed in the winter? 70%? 50%? somewhere in there, something like that. So I don't know, and then losing the 40% on the parking, I understand on the new drawings it's less. I understand Boulder Stadium getting some overflow, and making some better walkways through there to offset some of that. Trailer parking's a bugger, right? Because it's gonna be still tight up top on turnarounds and stuff. I mean, accessible and doable, but there's still not a lot of trailer parking, which Anchorage, Wasilla, that's our trailers, right? We get a lot of those. Whenever your salmon run hits, you get more and more of those people down, which is what we want. I don't know the answer on it. You know, we've chatted, Tony and I go over and I chat and talk things over and try to see how we can come up with something better. I know Jason was talking about a new parking spot for the free shuttle right across from the store. I said, why don't we move that down to where the businesses aren't open year-round? Then in front of the businesses that are. We get a lot of people that use that little spot. So why not move it down on the corner where Tom's got his parking lot right there by Chinooks and stuff? Why not put it there? If those people can walk from KFT down past the bakery, they can walk the other way too. And then keep that spot for the locals in the winter when it's blowing 50 where they want to get in there quick, which it has been in the winter. So anyway, that's in a nutshell what I've got. I mean, I've got, you know, if you want some specs on more on the fish, I've got some printouts for Fish and Game, but pretty much you've got, you know, we're coming up on a little, might be some emergency regulations for OSEP for 27. But those will be EOs that'll be authorized as they see what the return is. Okay?
All right. Thank you, Mark.
Any questions or?
Yeah, do we have any questions from the board members here? Follow-up questions?
I guess I do have a question.
Yes.
Mark, you talked about, great presentation, by the way, thank you. You talked about the Board of Fish meeting coming to Seward in December. Is there any ways PACAB can support the charter industry, the fishing industry with that?
Yeah,
with that meeting?
we can bring that back to you on our committee and see if there's some spots where we can, you know, the railroad or city support on it. It was tough to get them here. I mean, it took some arm bending to get them away from Homer and, you know, a few spots so we can offset to our area and then actually have some people in town, so, yeah, we can let you know. Okay. Jim McCracken and Diane Dubuque have been huge on that one, proponents of getting that.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to thank you too for your presentation. It was interesting, especially going back in the history of the fish house. And I'm still missing the dog shack for chili dogs and ice cream.
Oh, I didn't bring up the salmon catch. It was the shaken dog, we had a lot of different venues, yeah. Back then.
And what you brought up about the South Harbor Uplands, I think is really important, that in that development, everybody see all the different needs. And I think the trailers with, the boat trailers is a big deal, because they gotta go somewhere. But, you know, where is the best spot for them? And also your mention of the shuttle in front of your store, I think that needs to be looked at too. I would agree with that. But anyway, thanks so much.
Yeah, and at your guys' meeting, I supported what you were bringing up too, just on the slip holders, if you would, how valuable they are. Because it's not just the slip fee they pay, it's the electric, it's everything else. They don't bring everything down from Anchorage. It took us 30 years to get some of these boat owners to go, we don't need to shop in Anchorage, it's the same price. And so the more that we make it harder for them, the more they're gonna buy out of town, right? I mean, that was the whole thing on losing Spinard and Ace Hardware. We haven't seen our business increase in dollar volume because of that. Because more and more people are holding on to a list, if you would, of what they need, not, you know, I'm gonna wait, I gotta go to Anchorage, yeah, I can get half of it in town here, or I can just wait. So, that's part of the thing on having competition in town, is that then maybe we can provide to keep more people in town buying their stuff.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point.
All right.
Any other questions?
I do have a question though on the railroad, on the freight dock. Are we still on track on that expansion coming?
We have multiple dock projects going on right now. So we're doing the cruise dock replacement currently, and I can say that that's going to be a race to the finish. There have been challenges with these high winds. You know, you can see the boom work, when it occurs and when it doesn't. But we're also dovetailing into an expansion of our freight dock. Yeah. And so we're on schedule with that. We've stored, upwards of, 100,000 cubic yards of aggregate for the fill, and we'll probably be doing the real sheet pile and filling work for that 400-foot extension on the freight dock like May through September of '27. But it's out to bid now, and that's coming.
Good. One more thing, if I may.
Sure.
JAG in our Uplands facilities, exit marine expansion, huge. Even more boats on the beach. Huge for everybody. I wish there was more room. JAG wanting to expand in here. Okay, that would be huge. I mean, we're competing with their own operations in Wrangell, et cetera, right? But they've got 100, 150 employees. And that's a big deal on what they provide for the community. We all remember the $2 bills that Jim Pruitt passed around town, right? Just to show what the money flow was, and it's pretty big, right? I mean, we see their guys at the grocery stores, our store. Any outside project like you guys are doing, we see some of the spin-off because somebody might need something. So it does go through town quite a bit. Okay? Yep. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you. All right, getting back to our agenda, it looks like we are moving on to item 7, unfinished business. Resolutions, we have none. Other items, we do have the Harbor Uplands parking and lease/public space, and we have Deputy City Manager Bickling here. And get on to that item now.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. So what I want to do today is we basically took the feedback from the last meeting and took it back to R&M and had some discussions and tried to implement all that feedback as best as we could. And so I just kind of want to go over that feedback and then the revisions and a couple of things and a couple of just deeper level explanations. And so if you have on that laydown you have this picture right here. And so and I know that I wrote everything out, not just for you guys, but also for the public, and again, so someone who's not maybe at this meeting can read the document and understand it. So the concern from the last meeting was a big one we heard was losing overall parking numbers, lack of close-in parking to the MNOP floats, the restrooms to remain close to the MNOP floats. The park area in the southwest corner was a really positive thing. There's a couple of ones that you guys did not receive directly, but ones that I know that we see communications that come straight through council for the clerk. And so one of those was that they desire for parking that had a view of the harbor, so if you could pull up and park and see the harbor from that parking area. And then we have seen some feedback too for desired lease space and also desired public space. Both sides of that. So what we went back to R&M and they redid. They added parking spots to the southwest corner. A number of them you can see down in there. And then from that feedback too, they kind of changed the configuration of in the northeast corner, providing a lot more spots that were close in. They changed the existing location of the oil catchment and tried to juggle things around in there because I was taking up some weird awkward space to provide more parking to that area, and also too. So if you look at I'll get to the overall parking numbers in a minute. But one of the places we talked about potentially putting more parking was kind of to the northeast of the memorial. And the reason I provided this specific diagram was because it shows a lot of the engineering underneath that some of those parking diagrams did not previously do. And so they actually said they can't put parking there because they actually need that area for storm drainage, because they're required to have certain kind of storm drainage to drain the parking lot. And so they do need that green space area there, but either way, we were still able to put in more parking so that we actually have more passenger parking spots than are in the Google Earth picture. And then there was also a talking about taking out half of the public lease area for more parking. But what they did is, because when they did that, they kind of did like a quick sketch of it without doing a whole other like redesign of it. But when they took half of that out, because of when they did that, there was a significantly increased need for like traffic flow. That it actually only netted about like 5 more spots, taking out half of that area. And so we didn't have them go through and do like a redesign, and because you have to do redesigns of layers with like electrical and easements and all that kind of stuff. And so we just didn't really feel like taking off all that area to only gain 5 more spots was maybe like worth it. So if we go to the next page there, you guys see, and here's the parking numbers. So you can see we had the original design that we showed you guys last time, and where we had 198 passenger vehicle spots, and then the Google Earth one, you can see that's what everyone was referencing when when I showed you guys last time. It was all like packed in there, but we didn't have egress or flow. But so we currently now in this revised design, we have 3 more parking spots that are passenger vehicle ones, and then the truck and trailer ones. This one's, I have an asterisk by that because if you just look on, there's technically 62 truck and trailer spots, which is 4 short from the Google Earth picture. But some of those spots, if you look at the number 39 there, if you go to the left, it's actually just those left spots. So some of those spots are approaching like over 80 feet in length as one spot. So we know that depending on the configuration and how like your vehicle and your trailer, you could easily get 2 in a number of those spots, and you can even, and so area-wise, we probably actually could fit more trailers in there than 66 combinations, but just because those 80-foot long ones, you're going to be able to fit more than one in there. So, and I did note. So anyway, all that to say, we did bring the traffic, we did bring that up significantly, so it's basically what I feel like is equal standing with the Google Earth picture numbers. And then I did include that feedback from Mark there about having the boardwalk areas be something that's easier to maintain in the long term. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm bringing back to you guys. And so any further feedback that you have, we have to bring this before council next Monday as part of the 35% design. And so we've been going through like similar processes with the actual Harbor Master structure facility with Tony and the engineers. And so that'll be presented at Monday, and along with this and any feedback we get here, so that we can update council and say, hey, here's kind of where we're at from the feedback. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any other questions that you guys might have.
Sure, we'll start with board members first. Does anyone have a question? Sure.
How many lease areas are there going to be? Do you guys have a final number?
No, because, well, what it kind of comes down to is that we've had some feedback that's saying like we do want a lease area, and we have had feedback that says we just want this like a big, huge like public pavilion area. And so I think it'll really be, so we haven't decided, it's going to be, council needs to have a discussion about that. And so I don't know what the outcome of that is going to be. I would say that from kind of the original harbor plan where we took what we originally designed with that was, we're going to have lease sites there. And so that's what we came forward with, but from the feedback we've gotten, I would say that we know that the number of lease sites are probably going to be reduced just because people are saying that they want more public space there. So I guess my thought is that that lease area, and that's why we actually changed the name from lease area to lease public area. just because we don't really know. Sorry, I couldn't answer your question.
Yeah,
That's an answer.
Long answer.
Do you have like people that are interested in leasing areas? Like
Yeah, but I have seen communication through the clerk's office to council.
that people are interested in
Yes.
leasing spaces?
Yes.
Just for clarity, what can we expect for maximum structural height within that commercial area? Do we know?
We have not set, well, I mean, I think if you, by code, that's one height, and I think it's like, that got pushed all the way up to the 30.
Right. Once upon a time, within portions of the harbor basin, structural height was restricted to like
Yeah.
26 feet.
Yeah.
And I think that's been revised.
Yeah,
long
I want to
ago.
say like 38 or something like that, but I would say that for this area in general, the harbor master's office is going to be 2 stories. But and the city council, as they do these lease areas, they can put restrictions on there if they choose, about like, they can make it all single story, or you can't exceed the height of the harbor master's office or something like that, so.
Right. Yeah, so we have a challenge here of multiple users and multiple interests, and, some have expressed concerns about the view shed.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be good to know. I know you talked about, building concepts and features, and, which is great, but, yeah, I'm just wondering about the overall height is all.
Yep, no, I would say that has not yet been determined.
Okay.
But I will make sure that is something that we can make sure is addressed at the council level if they do decide to do these spaces.
Thank you. First,
Okay.
Deborah.
Yeah, thank you. This plan's been around for a long, long time, as a couple people have said, and with modifications. I think there is interest for leased property, lease holdings in that area right there. As a business person in the harbor area, there's never enough space to find for businesses. And I think it won't be a problem finding, but I think having some restrictions would be important too, in interest of the public. One other thing about the parking, and I know there's a lot of people who have a lot of heartburn about the parking, and I'm just wondering if all the space in here that's blocked out for trailers and vehicles, or with trailers, vehicles with trailers, if those trailers couldn't be put somewhere else where it would be easier access for them to get in and out, like talking about the ball field and using that as overflow. I'm really concerned, and this is my concern has always been the boater, not just recreational, but the fishing boats too, the ones that have come on the trailers. But all those people, where they're going to park, the people all that are in NMOP, there's a lot of people there, and I understand, as a North Harbor user, we've always had to walk a long way to get to our boat. But they're going to be walking a long, long way, and there's a lot of tourists that go in that area, and if you put the lease buildings in there for businesses, and maybe develop the beach front there a little bit more for fishing, which is a great idea. Where are they going to park? I mean, there's not a lot of parking space, and we're pretty crowded in the South Harbor parking lot. So the idea of putting trailers there in the center is one that I would really like to see consideration to do something else with them.
Board Member Regis.
Yeah, so years ago, brought the pack cab, and then we come up with a height limit, same as what's along the boardwalk now, and I believe it was voted in. So, I don't know if you were there then when that happened, but it was voted in on a height limit. I think it's the same height as what's the buildings now across from the harbor master's office. So, I mean, somebody can look into that and see where that is, but I'm pretty sure it was voted in, so, on the height limit. And then, remember, Apple was saying, the trailers for boats, so we've got to remember, these boats here are coming down from Anchorage. They're not, some of them have slips, then they go store their trailer somewhere else. They're not going to keep them there, and they got to be attached. You start leaving unattached trailers, then you got a mess. That's why one of the harbor rules is you can't have an unattached trailer, 'cause then you're going to have yeah, they'd be there all summer long, taking up the spot, instead of moving, go put it in storage someplace, so.
How many, it seems like just the main concern is parking spaces, like, how many parking spaces fit in that lease spot? You know, like, I just don't see very many people, other than people that would be renting or leasing the spot, that are really like all for this lease spot. You know, the view to the harbor, for one, the distance you have to walk to your boats, the north side of that, it's just like, seems, I don't feel like there's a whole lot of support for any of the lease spaces there. I know it's an income but it just, you can't make more parking, you know, it's just, if that whole spot, aside from the bathroom, was converting to parking, how many spaces? I mean, you know, and those are prime time spaces. You can sit there and look at the boat harbor and all those people that have to walk to that ramp to get to their boats. Old folks that still own boats. I mean, that's the spot that, you know, senior citizens are going to be waiting for that spot. Other, you know, businesses in the boat harbor aren't real excited about some new business coming along, and not only just that, that's like, where's the people that are gonna go to that business gonna park? You know, and that's just taken away from the parking for the people in the boat harbor and our view. Height restriction, I mean, you can't see through the building.
Right.
You know, that's a beautiful spot to park, and people pay for that basically with their fees for the boat harbor. Yeah, that's just what I'm getting from the people that I talk to, and just makes the most sense to me. That's all I got.
Additional questions from board members?
I do
Go
have
ahead.
additional questions. So I've received a little bit of feedback, just as being a PACAD member, regarding this proposed project. And the way I'm understanding your numbers here, Jason, is with this plan right now, we're not really losing any parking. We're actually gaining parking in that Uplands area, correct? Even with this lease/public area. And opening that leased public area to parking isn't going to create a lot of additional parking, maybe 5 or 6 spots, you said, correct?
Yeah, when we took out the half of the lease area, just because what happens is then you had to create more road, like another pathway for cars to travel to get that lease area. And so when you create more area that doesn't all get dedicated to parking spots, it's like only a certain amount does because of the, you know, travel areas.
Okay. I've also heard from people, I've heard kind of mixed feelings, like some people do want business area, you know, lease spots there for businesses, and others don't. I'm wondering, you said that you've seen some interest from the city clerk's office, or even from the city administration. Have you seen, is there an equal number of interest on both sides, or is it like leaning more one way or the other, or what are you seeing?
I honestly have not been tallying things, and so I probably couldn't, I don't want to like say like, yeah.
And then, of course, one of the things that I've heard is like, well, if they do this, they're gonna lose all that trailer parking. That's not really true. We're still gonna
No.
have the same number of trailer parking if this
Correct.
plan goes in the way that it is. So I just wanna make that, the public that's
Yeah,
listening.
correct. Yeah, we're not
aware that
losing-
That's not true.
Yeah, we're not, I mean, if you look at it and you look at the numbers that we're gaining in the revised design, which I actually like really appreciate all the feedback, because I think what it ended up doing is it gave us a better next design. And so, but yeah, we are not going to be losing, we're gaining we're gaining like 3 passenger car spots, and we're losing, I mean, not really losing, if you do the count, like I said, but they're counting a spot that's 80 feet long as one parking spot. And so.
And then one last thing, and I'm only bringing this up because I did receive an email, and I think everybody on PACAB did, from a community member asking about maybe reconsidering the use of that land. I'm not supporting or not supporting that. I'm just saying that has been brought up, that maybe using it for something different, like a community center or something like that, to that effect. So has the city entertained that idea, or is this, I mean, this is kind of set in stone that this is parking?
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, we just got done talking about how much like parking we need in this area for access to the harbor, and I think if you try to put another like where we don't have any more spaces for people to go if you're gonna put something like a community center there. So,
I'm just bringing it up
Yeah.
because of the email I received.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not putting
Yeah,
an
but
opinion out there
yeah.
either way, but.
yeah, and I just think too, like, this is, like, this kind of overall plan, I mean, this has been in the harbor plan for decades, you know, and this is not like a new thing that we're just coming up with now, even though a lot of times it's just coming to people's attention, but this has been in the works, I mean, on the list of things we need to get done in this area for a long, long time.
And
Yeah.
I just think it's important that that be stated for those that don't realize how long this has been in the
Yeah.
works. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Just one more thing, quickly.
Sure.
But on the parking that you have up there near the access ramp to MNOP, just how many of those are probably going to end up being handicap? And also, is there any consideration for one or two of them to be loading?
Yeah, we could absolutely, like, that loading, absolutely. Well, if you look at, and this is already designed to be ADA accessible, so if you look, there is an ADA parking space that's to the, you see where number 16 is right there? Up in that area, and then it's just pointing to the left, there's your ADA spot right there. And then if you look at where, kind of right to the ramp access at the number 2, there's your ADA access one that's right there. And so they're both, this has been designed to meet ADA standards.
Thank you.
Yep.
If you don't mind, I
Go
would
ahead.
just agree with Deborah about the whole idea of having a loading zone
Sure.
area.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, because I
Yeah.
have heard, some people talk about, having to park and then carry all their stuff all the way across the parking lot, and down the ramp. If there was just a 15 or 20-minute loading zone area, that might be a good addition to this design.
Additional questions? Do we have?
Well,
Whatever,
the
Regis?
loading zone thing is, people back up to the ramp now and they offload and do there, and then, like, someday you get abused.
Yeah.
They get abused bad. So, just so.
Is there any enforcement in the parking? So there is.
Yeah, and that, I would say in the last couple of years, we've done a significant, we've changed the way that we've done parking, where that middle lot there in the harbor has become a 2-hour max lot, and we've been enforcing that a lot. We've gotten some positive feedback from a lot of the business owners there, because we do get that turnover, so people can park and go to their businesses or go to the restaurants, and they have to leave. And so in order to do that, we've hired a number more parking attendants that can go, they walk around, and it's all on a computer now. They can, like, just scan the license plate and see if they're there illegally or not, so if they paid.
So with the workers that work in the harbor, they're entitled to a special permit to park in the harbor area for like one annual fee versus having
Yes,
to pay for
correct.
every day.
Yep, yep.
Would this area be included in that, or is this separate from that?
This area would be included for like annual permits. I think it's you can park in any of the lots if you have like a permit, you can park on the outside lots. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, well, I'd like to say that this is, I appreciate this. This is better. It's taking a second bite at the apple, so to speak. I think you worked in a lot of what we discussed previously, the public input. That's good. I see, we have these walkways to the Mariners Memorial. We have a walkway on the south side. Fitting everything that we want into this package would be difficult. I understand that, but I think this is getting a lot closer. And just a thought while we're talking, the walkability and, waterfront path that we have, the former pavilion location, I think we have a pad there. We could perhaps someday develop that and have a pavilion. It'd be within walking distance. That might be something we could do without, concentrating necessarily on this Uplands area.
Yeah, and that is part of our plans. If you look down kind of that park, as it kind of goes down south on those spots, we do, like I said, we want to, at the last meeting, I think I said it, is we want to have more park areas, so we're looking to talk with Parks and Rec about placing kind of a pavilion public area down there, and then as it comes across the bridge, there's also plans at some point in time to improve kind of what's on the other side of the bridge, and there's been talk about putting up like another pavilion where that one was taken down there by the public restrooms on the other side of the boulder field there. So I think there are future plans for us to make improvements down there and make it better for the citizens.
Good, yeah, no, those are good ideas. Now, in terms of this continued conversation and the input that we've provided now, what else would be beneficial? What else can we do?
Well, I think one is I would encourage people to, take a look at the presentation on next Monday's council meeting, just to see kind of where things are going, and they'll show you like the facility, and we'll include this as well. But I would say council could say, hey, we want you guys to continue to work on this, or we need to get more feedback on this piece. And so we might see you again talking, maybe looking out some more details. But I just think continued public input on this obviously shows that from last time we've made it better. At the same time too, I don't think like we can do as much as we can to make most people like satisfied about it, but not everyone. It's like there's no such thing as a perfect plan. We don't have enough space for it. But I do think we can come up with a really, really good one. So I appreciate your help in doing that.
Great, thank you. All right then, getting back to the agenda, I believe we're on to item 8. I don't believe we have any resolutions or other new business. Going on to item 9, we have reminder of meetings. Is that something that we need to address now?
Well, you can just mention it.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, we need to pick something to go for that meeting. So my suggestion is to discuss SMIC. So much for it's a working boatyard. Some boats are staying there longer than necessary. And years ago, PACCAP had made it so the fees would double each year. And, for storage. I think those need to be raised. I don't think it's enough of an incentive for you to get your boat done, get it out of here. Because there's boats over there, when I left, they're still over there. They haven't moved. I think if you're there for 1 year, you're working, you're in the winter, you're fine. The price, keep it workable. But if you're gonna sit there and just keep your boat there year after year after year, I think we should raise it up to, maybe they can go someplace else, because they just sit there, they don't do nothing, they just take up a spot, and you run out of spots for people who want to work on their boats in the winter. So it's just a suggestion that we can put on for next...
Put it on the agenda for the next meeting?
If that's, we can ask the harbor master if that's something you can work with, or...
If that is your desire to discuss the SMIC plan, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Any other thoughts on what we might add to our agenda for the next meeting? Okay, well, I guess we can make that our primary item. And then, I'm not sure if we'll get more direction on what we'll be doing with the Uplands development plan. So there's the potential for that as well. And let's see. Anything additional on? Okay. So now we're moving on to citizen comments. And so there's no sign-in. The time's limited to 5 minutes. Anybody? Please.
Well, I came today, there's Bob Roosevelt inside the city limits. I came to watch Arnold, the guy did a commercial fishing presentation. I don't know who he is, but it's a neat guy. I would like to put in a word for commercial fishing. It's something we kind of lost in Seward. There's $100 million and more. I'd have to do a little homework, get the number that's going right straight out between here and 80 miles out of the edge. It's just getting delivered. And we're getting less than we used to in here, not more. We don't have hardly any local boats. The ones we have are older gentlemen. it's really kind of sad that Seward doesn't really, take a piece of that. Why that is, well, for one thing, I look at this plan here, there's no recognition that we lack harbor infrastructure in our harbor. You can go up and down the coast from basically Dutch Harbor to Ketchikan. You won't find another town's harbor that doesn't have a crane or a grid. They all have them. We did as well when our harbor was built. And I've been talking about this for 20 years. And I was on PACF for quite a while. Well, here you've got a stretch of open harbor front that could be used for that. And when you basically design it out, there's no more. No other business that goes in there actually has to be on the harbor front, except for dock access. That has to be there. And so my proposal, and I'm out of town all the time now, so I haven't had a chance to write the letter. I talked to Tony on Sunday, but is to leave space open. You could put a drive-down dock between the existing south ramp and where the shoreline, as it curves around and makes a corner down towards the harbor master's office. SDOC would be incorporated into that. And this has been a real popular addition to harbors, Sitka and Cordova and several others, as they've done harbor improvements. And people use those things, everybody that wants to load a boat. It's extremely useful to be able to drive your truck or car or whatever down and just put your stuff on the boat, right next to the boat. And for bigger boats, you can have a crane there, which Cordova's got 2 cranes on their new drive-down dock, that they just put a vehicle ramp down to a big enough square dock that you can do it, you can turn around and make a drive-down dock in an area they had. This would be the only area in the Seward Harbor where you're ever going to be able to do that. And you could put an exit somewhere down there by the restrooms on the east side of the public lease area. If you don't design that in, and you do decide to lease it out to businesses that could be put really anywhere in town and not right on the harbor front, then you've eliminated the possibility of ever doing that, because it'd have to be a one-way thing, where you drive on from the south ramp side and exit from the other side. And you could have a crane on the corner, or we've never had a crane dock, it would fit perfectly there. I got a picture on my phone if you want to look at the one in Cordova that they just finished last year, and we've used that over there. So I write a letter, try to advocate for that going forward in this design process, but I've been doing this for so long that I don't think anything I do is going to make a difference. I'm not even here in town enough to really fight the fight. But, I'll talk about it. Somehow you've got to recognize that harbor infrastructure is important in your boat harbor. All we have here is walk on, walk off. Drive down a ramp and launch your boat. You have to get a boom truck to lift anything heavier than you can pack onto your boat. And we have boom trucks roll off the dock, kill people. They're just unsafe, and people don't have them. People I know that are fishermen come in here, they need to get a crane. We just don't have it. Try to find a boom truck in the middle of the summer just like that. Try to get over in that crane on the other side just like that. It takes a week at least to get your car to run that crane, and then there's going to be a barge in front of it. So I just putting out a plea to, recognize our harbor is not complete. It's not even close to complete. And every other harbor is our competitor, and they all have this stuff. We had it and we lost it. We let it go. Other than that, I just like to put in a word for commercial fishing. It's, a cruise share on a boat that works hard out there fishing walleye and halibut. over 100 grand. And there's 100 of those boats out there doing that. How many of those people, how many kids in Seward can look at our local fleet and see where they could get into that business when there's nobody doing it? Whereas when they're in Homer or Cordova or Valdez, they got local boats that are actually doing this with younger people on them. And younger people are getting into this, you know. I know my kids do it, and it's not that they didn't like Seward. They liked Cordova. We took them over there when they were little, and so they moved over there. But my son Gus is still delivering in here for, you know, more than half of his year because they don't have a plant over there outside of the salmon season, and we do. Because we got all this business that comes in here, it's the shortest, straightest way to get your fish to the dock and get your stuff and go back out and go fishing. It's a huge opportunity that we just don't, you know, recognize it for what it is. And I also wanted to say, I want to thank Mark for his good presentation. I learned a lot of things. And that Mark is still in business all winter. We buy stuff from Mark, and we don't have to go to Anchorage to get it. And if we could get it in Anchorage, we wouldn't get it there. We'd get it from Mark. You know, it's just, you know, it's wonderful to have business like that support every kind of a marine activity. And we don't have enough of them. You know, we lost our lumber yard. It makes it hard to do work here. And we got to keep Mark, and when he lets it go, we got to have somebody take the space. So that's really important. Thanks, Mark.
Great, thank you, Bob.
I mean, do you have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Bob?
I just made all that up on the spot. I didn't do it.
I've heard it before.
I am very interested in what you had to say, because it's really not a perspective that has crossed my mind at all. I would be interested if you were willing to send out an email or some more information, if we are going to continue this conversation, to just have a little bit more to reference, whether it be links to the Cordova's
Yeah, I can try to write it
website
up.
or whatever.
Just send you all a copy.
Yeah,
Send it
that
to
would
council.
be, it's a different perspective that I hadn't even considered, so thank you for bringing that up.
Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead,
Well,
Deborah.
I appreciate what Mark said about commercial fishing, and Bob, too. He made me deja vu about 15 years ago when I heard the same thing.
Yes.
When both of us were sitting up here about the lockdown ramp and the crane. We talked about that for many meetings. But I was just wondering, the guy who was supposed to come for the commercial fishery, is it possible that he could come again sometime?
I'm
Or do
sure
we-
we could make that request.
We can reach back out to him. Kristen and I can reach back out to him. We have not, I mean, we've sent emails. We heard he was coming, and then we never really got a confirmation, so something might have came up, and we'll reach out to him again.
You could try Scott over there in Brunswick. There's a seafood plant.
Great. Well, if it works out, perhaps we could get that individual to speak at the next meeting under presentations, just to enlighten us further.
Okay.
I will say that Deborah and I were on the PACAP together when we passed the resolution. We've actually worked with the design to build a specific crane for how much money, and it never did get on the council agenda. After we had two harbor-wide public meetings about it, where people, Mark came, we never got on the agenda, the council. That says something too.
Thank you. Any other?
I have a real quick question. What is the plan for the, when you vacate the harbor master office, the old one? What's the plan for that area?
Oh, that would be directed at administration, if you would, Tony?
So the current plan for that is, well, first vacate it,
Yeah.
and then we'll look at the current design. And there will always be a bathroom, because that is just where that
It's the
That's a
same
focal point of
bathroom
that.
that was here when I came to town in 1981. But
It is, there's still a lot of life left in that, we'll be there 25 years.
But I just wondered that, I don't know if that's been, I'm sure. it's-
We're gonna cross that bridge after we,
Okay.
that's sort of the next phase.
Okay.
Go ahead in the back of the room, please.
Hi, Johnny. Amanda, Outside City Limits, Sewer Chamber. I'm gonna put my citizen cap on for a second. Mark, it's really nice to put a face to the fish house. My parents and I built myself a tiny home here. It's like 24 feet, and we couldn't have done it without the fish house and Orange Bike. We didn't have to leave Seward to build this house for me, so I really appreciate it. And I recently moved my parents up we're from Long Beach, California, and I don't think he would have agreed to move here unless it wasn't for the fish house. He works in construction, and he's obsessed. He buys all your guys' like branded merch, and he like loves repping it. Anyways, very obsessed. And in general, I just want to thank you for your presentation. I am about to hit my 1-year mark at the chamber, and so I'm still learning. I don't have any commercial fishing background or anything like that, and so I'm still learning a lot about this industry that I think was the original foundation of Seward, and so I would love to learn more, and I would love to meet with any like fishing industry people over coffee. I'll buy you coffee. You guys can teach me a thing or two. I would love to, because I would like to make sure they're represented in the chamber and in Seward. Yeah, I guess I've always been a coastal kid. I've always lived on the coast, and I used to work in Seward or in Whittier as a jet ski guide, so pulling up jet skis in and out of the water and working on the docks, and even as a river guide, we'd spit out in Cordova, and so I guess I have been around harbors a lot, and I understand the importance of them and investing in them, and how they are integral to communities. So yeah, I would love to. Anyways, I did pull up the committee description for you, Melissa. The Destination Stewardship Committee works closely with staff to influence how visitation develops so it benefits the community and protects natural and cultural resources. It sets priorities and standards like sustainability goals, visitor management, and local economic benefit, and coordinates projects across partners. It also tracks impacts and recommends policy or actions to address visitation influences issues within the community. And the vision is a Seward where residents, businesses, visitors, and community partners work together to sustain a high quality of life, protect the places and culture that defines our community, and ensure visitation continues to benefit the people who call Seward home. And some like fun facts, because we were talking about tourism and tax dollars and stuff. I partnered with Kellyanne at the SBDC, and she provided a lovely graph that showed the average visitation-related sales tax between the years of 2018 to 2024, and that share of the total city sales tax revenue. So they discounted things like construction, finance, medical, so anything that's naturally is related to visitation is counted within the sales tax. So Homer is 27% on average, Kenai is 10%, Saldana is 4%, and Seward is 47%. So if anyone's ever wondering, including includes charterfish, 47% of our city sales tax revenue is accounted towards visitation services or visitation-related businesses. So that was kind of a fun number, and it's our average is like 300 million. So it's a pretty healthy number. So I thought that was some fun facts. And then too, the chamber also, if you remember, a part of that is that if you have things you're really passionate about or interested in, like a crane, that sounds awesome. You're welcome to reach out to the chamber. We do letters of support. We kind of help you give a little bit more manpower. We attend city council meetings and stuff, so we could help put a little power behind your voice. And so we of course, we bring every letter of intent to our board for vote to make sure it represents our community as a whole. But yeah, I welcome people to do that and to use their local chamber. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other? Please, come forward.
Randy McFarland, outside the city limits. I'm wondering if it's possible that I could ask Norm and the current harbor master a question about their perspective of how the 5 little green spaces came about for vendors in the harbor, and how the Kenai Fjord shuttle bus got right there in the driveway, and I'm interested in what you guys have to say, not holding anything to anything, but it's kind of curious to me how those things have developed.
I might lean a little on Norm for just that back history of the,
So you're talking about-
how that goes back.
Please, so about the, you're talking about the vendors that are...
I'm talking about the 5 vendor green spaces, it says 5 to 8.
So the vending things went through the clerk's office for the vending spaces, and that was voted on council where those spaces were gonna go. And the bus stopped there in the Kenai Fjord parking lot right across from the fish house. That was through parking, not the harbor, because that's parking lot. So that went through parking. I had no say-so in that one.
Okay. Can I follow up?
Please.
So to me, it appears the Kenai Fjord bus is basically saving people the distance of walking the width of the sidewalk, not the length, because there's a big yellow bus zone right there within just a couple feet. And to me, it looks like it, not only they're in the fire zone, sometimes. I talked to the fire chief about that. He said they're not supposed to leave their vehicle. I said, okay, well, that's fine if they don't leave their vehicle. And they've been very good about that. But it sort of blocks at least one of the 30-minute loading zones that should be right there. There's 5 on each end, right? Well, if you put the bus there, so people don't have to walk across the sidewalk, we're losing a loading zone. So if the parking came up with one idea and the council came up with the other one, that's what I'd like to know. And that's it?
Yeah, I imagine it was a combination between the parking and the council, if I remember right, because it goes a ways back, and it was about them, Kenai Fjord buses staying in the bigger bus area. They were staying there all the time, and they weren't moving, and which was creating a pain. And it's still a pain there now because the way the buses are, some of them don't want to move, and you got to get them to move. I'm sure Tony still has to go out there and tell them to move, take a little trip around the block, but there's just much more buses coming in now. It's just,
Okay.
So that's an issue. I know that, if I remember right, that we were working on that, and then Jason was working on moving it down. But of course, that's good, like Mark was saying, he's got to move it right in front of his business. So like he suggested, good, move it down further, which would be a good thing. And then, but that's all, it's got to go through P&Z, I imagine, for the parking, but definitely should move.
To me, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Norm, but it looks like we had a problem when we just moved it a few feet. That bus shouldn't be on the street, no matter how it's done. It shouldn't drive down the sidewalk to park in the fire zone, so people don't have to walk the width of the sidewalk. It just doesn't, and we're losing 1 or 2 parking spaces, just, anyway. I just wanted to find out. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other citizens wishing to comment? Looks like we've got everybody. Good. And thank you for your comments. So we'll move on to board comments, board member comments, and we can start with board member Altermat if you'd like. Do you have any closing comments?
Well, I just, like you say, it's great to be back after a 10-plus years hiatus on this, well, more than that, on this board, and it's what opportune time to have Bob show up and talk about cranes. If I never had heard that again, but it is important. Yeah, the commercial fishing industry is very important in our town, and whatever we can do in the forward planning would be great. Other than that, I really don't have anything, and thanks for having me.
Great, thank you. Board member Regis?
Yeah, so I have a few things. So it's nice to have a full PACAP board. It's really nice. Thank Mark Clemens and administration for their the 2 presentations. And Mr. Linville's thing about the crane. So the crane has been designed. It's waiting for funding. I know that we have applied several times before I left. Tony understands we applied several times for funding. We try to combine it with some other projects for funding. So the design's there, it just needs to be implemented for the city dock. And, I'm pretty sure he's working on it. Let's see, where's it going? So, and then also the drive-down dock / we're talking about a grid way back when. And then there was, R&M had designed it to go there at the northeast corner there drive down between the Coast Guard building and the Bay Barge, drive down there, you remember that? When that was all, that's the design still there somewheres. And I know we talked about putting it there where that one float is now there.
It's better right there in the northeast corner.
Yeah, and it's a good spot for it. But anyways, that's all designed, and I just know that I'm pretty sure it's just about the funding for the crane, getting that to go. I'm not sure what Tony's plans is for the iDock. I know he's talking about replacing the dock here soon, so that could be implemented in with the new dock that he's trying to get designed. I know it's been a long process. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Board Member Scudder?
Yes, thank you. So I do have a few comments. I kind of got my notes are all over the place here, but I first of all want to welcome Deborah back to PACAB. I think you're going to be a great asset to this board, and it's great to be on another board with you again. We served on the chamber board for a little while together. I want to thank Mark for a great presentation, city administration for their great presentation as well, and of course Amanda from the chamber, as always, for presenting on the chamber. I definitely look forward to hearing more about that stewardship committee and hoping that maybe somehow the chamber and the city and PACAB can all work together to create an environment that makes, I don't know if we can ever make everybody happy, but at least it's beneficial to everyone that's doing business in Seward. Really appreciate Bob's comments about the crane. It's not a perspective that I have had, and so it's not something I even really ever thought about. I'm not in that industry, so I think that's great that it's being brought up again and the conversation is happening again. Very interesting information, Amanda, about 47% of our sales tax in Seward comes from visitor services. I think that's great to put that information out there. And then appreciate Randy McFarland's conversation about the bus parking. It might not be a bad idea for that to be a possible discussion in the future, not about bus parking, not just in the harbor, but in the town in general. I can't tell you how many times I've come out of the bank and there's a bus parked on Main Street, taking up 5 or 6 different parking spots, and there's nobody in there. Sometimes they park right in front of the building where my customers park. So I think that that's a good conversation for us to have along with the city and enforcing that, maybe have some sort of dedicated spaces for buses to park when they're coming, they're here, there's not anything we can do about that, but it would be nice to have a place where they say, okay, if you're gonna be here on a bus, this is where you need to be, you know. And I think that's all I have for now, so thank you, everybody.
Great, thank you. Board Member Draper, do you have some comments?
Just wanted to say thanks for people coming up and talking today, Mark. That was real good history and some fun stuff to know about the fish house. Everybody's there a lot. I go in there and run into 6 people I know and come out an hour and a half later. Yeah, thanks Amanda and Jason Bickling and Randy for speaking, and Bob. Yeah, the opportunities for commercial fishermen in this town they're there. I don't know why there aren't people doing it either, other than that it's really hard work. But that's about all.
Good. Board Member Grew?
Yeah, first one, thank the chamber. Always a great report. Always enjoy hearing it. Definitely catches me up on what's going on around town. Definitely enjoy that. Gotta thank Mark. That was a great report on sport fishing. And I want to thank Bob for, I didn't realize that we didn't have a I didn't realize we weren't as competitive as other fishing towns in the area, and I think that's important that we get competitive, and it needs to be I think, a priority for our town to be competitive. And definitely support the new Harbor Master Building and the Uplands development. I definitely not sure on which way lease space, public space. That is definitely something that needs to be probably talked about a little bit more. I could see both sides, but as a sewer resident, I would like to see more public spaces for our town. But I also see the need for businesses also. So definitely something you're gonna have to, this is gonna take a little juggling to figure out the right thing. And I think other than that, that's all I have. I want to thank board members. It's nice to have a full board. Been the first time for me. And that's all I got.
Great, thank you. Yeah, for my part, citizen comments, very thoughtful, good stuff today. Presentation was great, thanks, Mark. I guess more broadly, getting that commercial fishing perspective is really helpful, and it's good stuff. Regarding traffic, we do have some coach staging areas, locations in town, but that's a discussion we should have, because I believe we'll see more. We'll see more people, we'll see more visitors, and hence more traffic. So planning is the best way to go. And with that, I believe we will entertain...
Administration.
Oh, do we have comments from administration?
A lot of my items were already stated.
Redundancy.
Thank you, Mark. There's definitely not a lot, we're not short of things to address. It's like, it's just a sharp tooth, right? Next one comes up. But I appreciate Bob's comments. We had a great conversation on Sunday about that, and former Harbor Master Regis stated that. We've applied several times for funding for a crane on IDOC to miss out on that, and we are looking into, that's still on the list. It hasn't been removed, and we'll get there and make it better one day.
Great, thank you for that input, Tony. Appreciate it. Now, I believe we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, and so, seeing all agreement, we'll adjourn.